For 5 long years, people have been clamoring Atlus to port the Persona series to other modern consoles and platforms. So why did it take so long to get where we are today? To understand this, I think we need to first understand the past. Atlus can be a little stubborn. They were never really the mega corporation that someone like Sega was, who owns them now. While they did have their more well-known titles, such as Shin Megami Tensei and Persona, these games are still relatively niche, and didn't do sales numbers like large Western RPGs did. So we really need to trace some of this back to the start, to the roots of where this happened, and I'd say that kind of lands us in 2017. During that time, Persona 5 had released on PS3 and PS4 in the West. The people running RPCS3, the PS3 emulator, managed to get the game working in a very playable state on their emulator. They also used images of the game to advertise for their Patreon. This resulted in Atlus getting a little unhappy, and they did DMCA the Patreon page. This, of course, was to attempt to remove any association with Persona 5 and Atlus and this emulator. Later on, they went to issue a statement about emulation and how they felt about this entire situation. This is all pretty standard legal stuff for companies. I don't really want to get into it too much since I'm not a legal expert, but after all, you don't want the public to believe that your game is available somewhere where it actually officially isn't. Within that notice they released on their website, it said, "We understand that many Persona fans would love to see a PC version. However, the next few years were met with pretty much radio silence from Atlus. Their PlayStation games stayed PlayStation, and their Nintendo games stayed Nintendo." We saw the release of Persona 3 and 5 Dancing, as well as Persona Q2. Now let's jump forward a little bit to 2019. In 2019, we saw the announcement of Persona 5 Royal, as well as Persona 5 Strikers. The surprising thing was that Persona 5 Strikers was also meant to launch on Nintendo Switch. This announcement coming very, very close to Joker's announcement in Super Smash Bros. Many people thought that this meant Persona 5 would be coming to Switch as well, almost as soon as Persona 5 Strikers does. However, eventually Persona 5 Royal released, and following it up was Persona 5 Strikers in Japan and other Asian territories. We didn't see much from Atlus after that. The company basically didn't talk about an English release of Strikers at all. However, a few months later, in June, we did see something new. For a few days before the start of E3, rumors were stirring. We saw a Steam listing for Persona 4 Golden, and lo and behold, at the PC gaming show, Persona 4 Golden was announced for Steam. This has been the first time the game had been available anywhere else, especially after the PS Vita's untimely demise. Anyways, from there, Persona 4 Golden went to smash records, selling 1 million copies in the span of a year, and 500,000 within the first month of its release on Steam. It also beat out Final Fantasy XV as the highest number of concurrent players for a non-MMO JRPG on Steam. Atlus is on record saying that the sales were much stronger than expected, which leads me to kind of my first conclusion. You can also take this from a lot of the quotes that they had in interviews about the PC port. Atlus really wasn't confident in the PC market. There are a few things that you could leverage their possible belief from. Maybe they believed that a lot of people were just playing Persona 5 on emulator because they could get it for free using downloads online. They might have also believed that social media buzz does not really make up the majority of their base, and usually they'd be right. However, you have to keep in mind that their low expectations and seeing this success is likely what pushed them to do more PC ports. Now, of course, that was 2 years ago, but you have to keep in mind that just because they decide to do a port doesn't mean it all happens in an instant. So the end of the year rolls around, and Persona 5 Strikers gets its announcement for the West, and it comes with a little something special. Now, this was a big surprise to a lot of us. I didn't expect Persona 5 Strikers to get a PC version. Again, showing that there is a base for Persona games on other platforms. So the years roll by and finally we're here. Persona 5 Royal, Persona 4 Golden, and Persona 3 Portable are all coming to modern platforms. So when all's said and done, Atlus realized they had markets in other places. They finally realized that these critically acclaimed games that have so much buzz going online are really worth something for other players on other platforms besides just the PlayStation. But you might still be asking, so why did it take so long to get from Golden on PC to all of these games getting ported to modern platforms? And the reality is, porting just isn't that easy. You can't just copy the code from one place and paste it somewhere else. That's not how it works. it still usually takes less time than a full game. However, porting something is not so simple as copy and paste. So you have to keep in mind new factors such as limits on power, different hardware, different components, a whole load of things that need to go into this. And you might be able to say that, well, Persona 5 Strikers didn't have a PC version in Japan initially, so where did this PC version come from for the West? And the reality of that is that Koei Tecmo was developing Persona 5 Strikers, so I imagine they've had a lot more experience in this field, as a lot of Koei Tecmo games do come on PC. The reality is that I think we need to let people have the time to work on these ports so that they're as good as they can possibly be. And hopefully they release to relatively successful sales so that Atlus understands that when they make their next game, that it can be something for all platforms, that everyone is interested in it, or at least their fan base is scattered amongst all these platforms, and it's totally worth it to keep making these games officially for those platforms as well. Ultimately, what we should take away from this entire experience is that porting a game is no simple task. And while we never know if a game will come to all these other platforms that we want it to come to, the future for Atlus looks like it's headed in the multi-platform direction. I'm excited for Persona 5 Royal to finally be in the hands of all these people who wanted to play it, but couldn't because they didn't own a PlayStation. And I'm also excited for Persona 4 Golden and Persona 3 Portable to finally see the light of day once again, besides just the PC version of Persona 4 Golden. And I hope you're excited too. And if you are, please leave a comment. Talk about what you think about these ports, if you're excited, or if you want to, which one you want to play the most, all of that kind of stuff. Leave it down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and leave a like if you enjoyed the video, or if you feel like you learned something, or whatever it may be. Just if you liked the video. You can also subscribe to the channel. That's still on this side. I keep messing that up. It's on this side. You subscribe here if you want to see more content related to Persona and other JRPGs. Anyways, see you guys next time.